Hi there, folks. Saber4 here, back with another part of our Star Wars Unlimited Legends of the Force preview. This time we're going to go the best common and uncommon cards of the set. This is in some way a companion to the others where we have looked at the best leaders, best rares, and best legendaries so far. Also, this is very good research if you are coming to this from the How to Win Your Pre-Release video, as we're going to talk about how some of these cards can impact your draw. Before we begin, if you have not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. We are rapidly approaching that 1,000 sub mark and would love to see that get hit before we actually have the launch of this set. In this video, we're going to talk about the criteria, why it is that we picked some of the things that we picked. I will give you some of the honorable mention. Those are going to be the sealed play juggernauts and things that might not be major value in constructed play. However, in sealed play, they are going to be lifelines. Then we'll go by commons and do that by aspect, and then we will do the same with the uncommons going by aspect, and that'll be it. So let's go ahead and dive on in. First off, the criteria. A lot of these things, you're going to see them as units, and the reason is that the units are the things that do the things. Your units are what attack and defeat other units for the most part. They are also what you use to attack and defeat your opponent's base. It is highly unlikely that you are just playing cards and playing one of your opponent's bases down. I don't think that deck exists yet. And so the units are the things that are going to be responsible for doing damage to the base, for defending your own, for forcing your opponents to trade into. They're what you're looking at in a lot of cases. And so stats to cost is a big part of that criteria. The card ability is a big part of that criteria. What does the card do either when it hits the table or as it is allowed to persist? And then is it an upgrade to an existing staple card is also a thing that we consider. Or just a replacement for an existing staple card when these things kind of rotate out. My example here is the Battlefield Marine, a staple card since set 1. What makes this guy so good? Well, if we're evaluating him and we are evaluating other things that we have in the common spot, this is by far one of the best commons in the game, especially in set 1. This guy has a 3/3 stat line for 2, and so he has a very, very high stat line for his cost. As a matter of fact, there's only a few other units in the game, 6 other units in the game with a 3/3 stat line at 2 cost. This is the only one of those that does not have a restriction on either their ability to attack, as the new card does in this set, or have a bounty on it. Dr. Evazan comes in shielded, but he has a major bounty on him, where he essentially resets your opponent's resources for the turn, or draws a card for the Wookiee, or have restrictions in attack, or come into play damaged, or there's Bo-Katan, who has the penalty of a double aspect. And so this was by far the best of the 2-cost cards in the common variety, just because, in this case, of his lack of text. So when we're looking to replace him, we would have to find something that either has that 3 health, or has the ability to survive this Battlefield Marine, because a lot of things also will not trade into this very efficiently. You can have a 3 attack unit that trades into this and in most cases is erased, but very, very few things are able to attack into this and survive. So this is what makes this one of the staples. This is kind of how we will evaluate the cards coming forward. Let's go ahead and dive into the juggernauts of sealed play. These are our honorable mentions. These include both commons and uncommons, and we'll talk about each of them just a little bit. First on this list is Watto, and this is one of the earlier cards revealed in this set, and I said this at the time, that this is an impressive card for sealed play. This guy has an ability on attack that in a lot of cases you don't like the idea that you're going to give your opponents a choice. Here, and especially in sealed play, where getting through your deck is kind of paramount to making sure that you hit your big cards, Watto gives you 2 good options. and your opponent gets to choose which one they want. Do they want to give you an experience token to place on one of your units? So you could make this a 2/7 and even harder to remove, or continue to grow something else, or draw a card. And for 3 cost, okay, sure, it's a 1/6, but it's a 1/6 that I can grow, or it's going to get me to my cards faster. This is a great guy in sealed. The Hive Defense Wing. This particular set is very light on ships. 4 health allows it to reasonably stick around on the board for at least a turn, and then has Restore 1, which not a ton of things in this set have. And with a pretty low space presence overall, there's the good chance that this guy is going to be able to attack several times, and force your opponents to play something in space to get rid of it. Gunji. Here again, stats to cost. That Battlefield Marine at 3/3, one of the highest stats to cost until Gunji. We have a 7, which is greater than a 6. He also has very relevant traits of being Force and Jedi. Wookiee can sometimes be relevant, but not that much here. Gunji, you can pop down, have a very stable unit that is not going to be defeated very easily, very reliably turn on some of your Force abilities by getting him to attack. He has greater than 4 health, and so he can work with the rare bases, or he can work with the common bases. This is just a really strong one in this set. The Purge Trooper, another common here, that when played, deal 2 damage to a Force unit. There's a ton of Force units in here, and so the likelihood on turn 2 that you're going to be able to drop this guy out and just deal 2 damage to something is quite high. This set also is limited in the villainy aggression leaders, and so there's a decent chance that you're going to be able to bring this guy in hidden, which will say that your opponents are going to have to figure out, do they want to claim early and be able to take out a 4 attack, or do they want you to swing in and get 6 of value out of this guy at a minimum? Finally on this list, we have the Corrupted Saber, and this is kind of a nod again to the fact that this is kind of leader specific. If you're playing and you wind up on Grand Inquisitor, this attached to a non-vehicle unit, especially a Force unit in this case, can essentially erase most things that you attack into. It's going to give you +2/+1, and it's going to give your defender -2/-0. If you can do that in conjunction to the Grand Inquisitor's ability, and you give something -4/-0, you're really going to have a very durable unit, something that people are going to have to attack into in order to get rid of. And it's got a saber now, so it's a really sticky unit that keeps on the board and is able to kind of just delete things without really taking a lot of damage back. The other honorable mention is the creature package in this set. There are 28 creatures in the set. 25 of them are heroism or neutral. Only 1 is double aspect, but you also get Ezra that matches the aspect of Kanan Jarrus, and Kanan Jarrus in sealed play as a result can be an absolute juggernaut just because of the card pool that we've got. Let's move on and talk about these sets. We will start with the commons and vigilance. All of them are going to be like this. We'll see 1 in villainy, we'll see 1 in heroism, and we will see 1 of neutral. In this case, the best commons of vigilance are the TIE Supremacy. Yes, 3 cost, 3/3, but it has Sentinel and is in space. As we said, there's not a very heavy space presence in here. 3 is going to allow it to absorb a couple of attacks from many of the things that are played early game, and so it's going to be able to block some of those early attacks. It doesn't have restrictive text on it, so it's probably going to be able to swing in for 3 as long as you use it before your opponent can attack it twice. Very strong unit in the common spot for vigilance. The Itinerant Warrior I picked in this case because we have a 4/4 shielded, and we have the ability to heal 3 damage from a base. We have Force and Jedi. We're going to get a swing back, so we're probably going to get our token back off of this without any difficulty. 4/4 isn't a great stat line, but this is a common, and so we're going to be able to take a 4 cost 4/4, bring it in shielded, heal our base a little bit, know that we're going to get a swing, get our token. And then Secretive Sage might be one of the best commons in this set, bar none. We love We love 2/2 shielded. We loved 2/2 shielded when it was on Crafty Smuggler. We loved 2/2 shielded when it was on Director Krennic. And now we have the Force trait being relevant. And so we get a Force unit that is a 2/2 shielded. And that's amazing. Probably one of the best commons in this set. Command. Knight of Ren. Again, value. We're talking a 4/4 for 3. No text on it. First Order, which increases a smaller tribe that we've had some trouble getting things for. It's in a good color combo for a lot of that already, but 4/4 for 3. This is what we're taking. The Jedi Consular. This is a magnificent ability. Being able to use the Force token and discount for 2. It's going to be great in seal play for sure, but it's also going to have a lot of relevance in decks that want to cheat things out. And if they can use Force tokens and get to Force tokens easily, this is a great way to do it. Best command heroism common. Finally, the Terentitech, and you can say that however you would like. 5/5 is pretty good. 5/5 on a creature, because creatures can be very relevant, is very good. 5/5 on a creature that ambushes, because a lot of things have the Force. This is a great common. Aggression. Acolyte of the Beyond is our first one here in Villainy. Both on attack and when defeated, the Force is with you. So this is definitely going to create a token. Even if your opponents remove it immediately, it still creates the token. So this is one of the few ways that Villainy has to just pop that token out and know that they're going to get it one way or the other. Even without the Force trait, this does have the ability to pop that token for you. It has the Sith trait, which is relevant in a couple of different ways that we're not too concerned with right now. But this is your best for Villainy aggression. Best common that we have for aggression heroism would be the Jedi Knight. Very similar to what you got with the Death Trooper, except it does not do damage to one of your own units. Downside here being that you do need to have the initiative. And then finally, with the amount of different upgrades that are available, our DRK1 Probe Droid. 2/3 is not a bad stat line for 2. But when played, you can defeat a non-unique upgrade. That is very good. A lot of different leaders here pop out either shield tokens or experience tokens, and we do have many non-unique lightsabers. So this is a great thing to have in this set. We love cards that do double duty. Best commons in Cunning. I have the Nile Marauder. 3/5 is better. 1/5 is not great. 4/5 on attack is decent, and there's other ways to kind of kick up raid. It's not the best thing that's out there by far in this set, but it's the best of the common Cunning cards. The Youngling Padawan has the same upside that the Acolyte did in aggression. When played, when played, the Force is with you. Bear, hush. Good boy. When played, the Force is with you. And so what we see here is that we're able to drop this guy out. Bear. Hey. I have a giant hound, and I'm not sorry. He's able to drop out a Force token on turn 1 and go ahead and get you active for that, or at any other time. Essentially, you can play this guy as an event that has a 2/3 unit attached to it and just gain a Force token. Finally, we have Pounce, again with the volume of creatures that are here. A 2-cost pump for 4/0 is that keeps tempo is great, because this is not a creature gets buffed for this turn. This is attack with a creature, and it gets +4/+0 for this attack. So really nice to have a creature that you can jump out, hit with your Lothcat for 6. So this is one of the best commons, again, in this set because of how this set is designed. Let's go to uncommons. In Vigilance, Karis was an easy call here. Comes out turn 1 when defeated. You can use your force token to give something -2/-2. Usually something's going to have to swing into that. They're going to take at least a couple of damage back. If you have a force token, you can usually just kind of counter kill whatever is there. Yeah, this is the best we've got. Ezra, by far the best uncommon in Vigilance. And not only does he work, well, by far the best uncommon in Vigilance, Heroism. Not only does he work well with Cunning, but he is allowed to give creatures or specters that experience token. This is a good hit, and especially if you wind up in sealed play, getting this guy, great card to have. Churret is probably the best uncommon overall in Vigilance because the Sentinel and allows you to shrink the things that attack into him by using your force token. You essentially either make him a 3/7 when something attacks in, or if you can chain him in with something to manage to get the force back, he's a Sentinel that is incredibly durable. If you can stick a shield or an experience token on him, he just becomes disturbingly difficult to get rid of. So this is the guy that I've got as probably the best uncommon overall of the set. Command. Couple of big ones again here. Vinny, I think maybe that's his name. When played and on attack, you can defeat an experience token. This guy is very, very in tune with what we do with Snoke, who gives experience tokens, and he can defeat an experience token to move it somewhere else. And so he can do that both when he's played and on attack, which allows you, because of Snoke's ability, to grow a unit that you would prefer to grow. This is a good hit, especially for a little bit later in the set. This also lets you just kind of move those tokens around, which can be relevant in other places. Kelleran Beck is the uncommon in Heroism. This has a kind of Darth Vader-like ability to look at the top 7 cards for a unit, reveal it, play it. This is not restricted to Heroism, and it costs 3 less, which is pretty awesome because it means that you can also do something like play into Maz Katana and keep tempo. So you could, if you had the ability, go Kelleran Beck. If you have a force unit on the table already, you can pull Maz Katana from Kelleran Beck, play her, and attack with a force unit for +2/+0. Maz is here. Not only is this a very strong ability and has been since we saw it on Fleet Lieutenant, now this is unlocked to just force units and does not have the heroism icon with it. She is another of the top uncommons of the set. In aggression, we have Battle Fury, and I'm okay with discarding a card from my hand for basically a 2-cost lightsaber. This gains an on-attack ability, which can be relevant in constructed play if you're using something like Hotshot Maneuver, a card that I love, which adds an on-attack ability and lets you deal more damage. So this can make something very big and combo into some other things. This is a good uncommon to hit. Mace Windu, lovely. We've got a force version of Wrecker. He does not defeat a resource. We just used a force token and deal 4 damage to a unit, so he's a little bit lighter than Wrecker at a 6/6 instead of a 6/7. Comes in at the same time, has Overwhelm, a 7/6, not a 6/7, and doesn't do the 5 damage, but deals 4 without having to blow up a resource. This is a better version of Wrecker in many, many ways. A little less dependable because you have to have that force token. But if you are playing a deck that generates it, which you should be if you plan on playing Mace, this is a better version of Wrecker. Blockade Runner. Saboteur that gains experience tokens by bypassing Sentinels. Lovely. There's nothing that we really have to say special about that in a place that's already kind of light on spaceships in general. I don't love 4/4 for 5, but 4/4 that grows every time that it deals damage means that somebody's going to have to come out and attack this in space, and be able to put 4 damage into it because they cannot put a Sentinel in front of it. I'm here for it. And finally, Cunning. Again, we have a couple of things that might be some of the better uncommons in the set. Aura Singh is a very strong player here because as an underworld card, she slots well into an existing deck that this just is a better fit. She is a very, very good and probably a 3 of in Cad Bane. And she makes a couple of things very relevant in Cad Bane because when we look at that deck, the 6 spot and dealing with Marshawn Rowe, she's relevant for that because we have Raid 2 and that can be doubled up to Raid 4. Marshawn Rowe is very relevant there because his deploy matches Cad Bane, who also has Raid 2. And so he can turn on a lot of big abilities and make this a very, very strong play. Depa Bilba is our heroism. This is Kanan Jarrus's master. 5/7 ambush for 6. Cool. That's Darth Vader's stat line. I'll take it. And in a spot where she's an uncommon, great. Does she have Darth Vader's Bring a Friend? No, she does not, but she has Saboteur. And so after her attack, she can go ahead and ignore that Sentinel, or she can ignore the Sentinel on the attack and take out the thing that the Sentinel was protecting. So this is a very relevant stat line, a very good cost for that particular stat line, and a huge, huge ability to get. Going along with Chirrut, this is probably the top 2 uncommons in the set. And then finally, Xian Fury, being able to add ambush. I don't know why the developers love yellow this much, but here it is. Play a force unit from your hand, it gains ambush, and it manages to ignore 2 damage. Yeah, I don't know why that had to be in yellow, but here we are. So that's what we have for the best commons and uncommons. If you are going through this after watching some of the other videos, make sure you realize and remember you are going to pull 50-something commons. You're going to pull 18 or so uncommons. So just be looking out for these in your sealed play. And if not, you're going to be finding some of these as better fits and good homes in your constructed play. Good luck, and we will see you next time.